In the last class, we were done with the discussion about the traditional methods of irrigation, right? Okay. So what are the four different traditional methods of irrigation? Yes. Tell me quickly.
Dakhli,
Dekli and
Rahat,
mhm. Two more. One is started with M, remember?
Muat,
Hmm. And one more.
chain bucket,
Pump.
something.
Chain
Chain.
pump. Chain pump. Good. So chain pump, Moat system, Rahat, and Dekli, which we learned about. Okay. What were the major drawbacks of traditional method of irrigation? Quickly tell me.
Sir, it led to uneven distribution of water and wastage of water.
Wastage of water, uneven distribution of water. Good. And one more. It was
Labor intensive.
exactly labor plus time. It was labor and time intensive. Good. Why others haven't joined yet? What's the time right now? Okay, we are 5 minutes into the class. Okay, others will also join soon. What was the last thing you guys wrote down in the previous class? Was it about the Rahat system?
Some modern methods of irrigation.
Okay, in this, have you written anything like about the sprinkler or the drip method, drip irrigation?
We just wrote the topic sprinkler and drip irrigation system.
Okay, okay. Okay, so we will learn about the sprinkler and the drip irrigation system today. Okay, and also today we will try to finish the chapter. And this one important thing I would like to inform you guys that I have observed one thing. Like initially, our approach was that we'll be making live notes in the class, but then I got to observe that it is a very time-consuming process. Okay, and we might not be able to complete the chapter before your exams if we were to continue in that manner. So what I'm thinking that I'll be providing you the notes of the things we are discussing in the class right after the class. You'll be getting it, and you will make sure that you write it down in your copies. Okay, no?
Yes,
So
sir.
in the class, you will be listening to me. All right. Okay. Yes, Pavan, how are you?
hi, sir, I'm fine.
Yes,
How are
hi.
you, sir?
Yes, I'm also doing good. Good. Okay. So modern methods of irrigation. Talking about the sprinkler system first of all. So this method of irrigation is particularly used to irrigate the land which is uneven. Okay, now it is useful for the uneven land. Also, where sufficient water is not available. So there, this sprinkler system will be used. If you look at the structure, there will be a main pipeline in the field, and perpendicular pipes will be connected to the main field. And on the top of the pipe, you can see this rotating nozzle is fitted. This nozzle keeps on rotating. Okay, and these nozzles are kept at regular intervals. One nozzle is put at this pipe, another at this, so they are kept at equal spacings from one another. So as the water from the tube well will run into the main pipeline that is laid into the ground, as the water from the tube well will run into the main pipeline, so water will flow through this, right? Under, like water is flowing under pressure now. With the help of the pump, the water is flowing in it under high pressure, so it will escape from this rotating nozzle, and you will see that the water will get sprinkled over the crop plants. It will appear as if it is raining. Okay, no? So that is the sprinkler system of irrigation, and it is useful for particularly uneven land. So one major thing to be discussed about this is that it is useful for uneven land where sufficient water is not available. Also, it is very much useful for the sandy soil also. So useful for uneven land, and this method of irrigation is useful for the sandy soil also. Got it, everyone? No? Okay. Pawan, read the given paragraph quickly.
Sprinkler or spray irrigation is the method of applying water to a controlled manner in that is similar to rainfall. The water is distributed through a network that may consist of pumps, valves, pipes, and sprinklers. Irrigation sprinklers can be used for residential, industrial,
Residential.
and
Residential.
residential, residential, industrial, and agriculture.
Okay. So in those places also this method of irrigation can be used, like if you are living in such type of localities in such areas. Particularly, the main takeaway from this topic is that it is useful for uneven land and useful for the sandy soil particularly. Okay. Next, we have got the drip irrigation system. So in the drip system, there is a network of narrow pipes that is having a small holes on it. That is having a small holes, and when water flows, also we might use drippers also like this. This structure is called as a dripper. So a dripper can also be connected to these pipes at regular intervals, like one over here, another over here, like this. So it can also be connected at regular intervals. So when water flows through the narrow pipes, it falls drop by drop at the position of roots of the plant. As you can see here, at the position of the root of the plant, water is flowing drop by drop. And the water is absorbed by the soil in the root zone of the plant, particularly. The water is mainly being absorbed by the root of the plant, and that is the thing. So in this, we are seeing that there will be no wastage of water now, right? Because we are not watering the other parts of the plant, but we are providing water directly to the root of the plant. So lots of water will be the wastage of water will be reduced in this. Okay, that is one thing. So it's basically the best technique of irrigation that we have, and it can particularly be used in places where there is scarcity of water. Okay. Also, this method of irrigation also you guys can see here like how it is being done. You can see the places where the water is dripping, it is having a darker color. Okay, so there is almost no wastage of water in this method of irrigation, right? Particularly if we have to irrigate fruit plants, all like in the gardens, so there this method of irrigation is very good, and it has many advantages. Like the main advantage is that it provides water to plants drop by drop, so thereby water is not being wasted at all. Drip system, it minimizes the use of water in agriculture, so it is very useful in those regions where the availability of water is very poor. Getting it? So used in areas with less water availability. Okay. Further, another advantage we have just learned that no wastage of water. There is no wastage of water in this method. Okay. Was you please read the paragraph?
Drip irrigation is a modern, effective method of watering plants. In this system, water is delivered directly to the roots of plants through a network of pipes and small outlets called drippers. These drippers release water slowly, drop by drop, ensuring that plants receive the right amount of moisture without wastage.
Also, you can control the frequency of water. Also, like you can increase or decrease the rate of the water. Okay, no? Like whether the drops will be falling faster, more amount of water will be falling or less. So you can control that also. And these structures are called drippers that are connected directly to the pipeline. These are narrow pipelines which you can see is connected to this main pipeline from where in which the water is coming from the tube well. So that is the thing. Okay, so out of the two, overall, which one is better? Although their use depends upon different conditions. Like a sprinkler system is used in places where there is less, where the land is uneven, or preferred for the sandy soil. Okay, but overall, in which one there is less wastage of water? Like there is almost no wastage of water
Drip system.
Drip system, sir.
in the drip irrigation, obviously. Okay, yes, Fatima, how are you? Why are you joining so late in the class, Fatima?
Sir, I had some network issue.
Oh,
My laptop was properly.
oh, okay. What you can do now, actually try to get everything ready 5 minutes prior to the class. Okay, no? Everyone, like, make sure that your everything is ready prior to 5 minutes of the class, okay? So that you will have time to resolve if there's any other issues, okay?
Okay.
So we have now learned about irrigation. Irrigation is now completed here. Now we are going to learn about removal of the weeds. So removal of weeds is also called as weeding, right? So when we grow a food crop in the field, then in addition to the crop plants, we may see that there will be some unwanted plants that also germinates, that also grows in the field naturally now, right? You might have seen so many unwanted plants growing in the field. Like this is an unwanted plant. No one went there to sow the seed of this plant. It has grown naturally. So these unwanted plants, these wild plants are called as weeds. We call them as weeds, right? And the growth of the weeds in the field is harmful because they are consuming a lot of fertilizer. They would be taking up a lot of nutrients from the soil. They are taking water, sunlight, and even occupying the space now. And all of that was actually meant for the main crop now that we are growing in the field. So since the presence of the weed in the field will reduce the crop yield, so therefore it becomes necessary to remove them from time to time because they are basically going to snatch water, sunlight, space, nutrients from the main plant. Hence it will affect their growth. So we need to remove them from time to time, because if we don't know, if we don't remove them from time to time, they can spread very fast. Also, the weeds multiply very fast. They spread very fast because they produce a large quantity of seeds. These plants will be producing a large quantity of seeds and they spread very fast. So we need to control their growth. So what are some of the common type of weeds which we have? Uh, so some of the common type of weeds which we have is like wild oat. Uh, what about the grass? Isn't grass also a weed? Weed, yeah,
Yes, sir.
most common weed. Then we have amaranthus also. Amaranthus, that is also a weed. You have one more example like chenopodium is also okay. I don't know like you guys are aware about the some local names or not, but chenopodium, like in Hindi it is called as bathua. Okay, no? In Hindi, in local term, it is called as bathua. Wild oat, like it is called as a javi, like that. So these are some of the unwanted plants. So they are harmful to the main crops, right? So thereby we need to cut them from time to time. Now the question is like, what is the impact of the weeds on the main crop? So first, like they would be, they snatches, we should basically write down that they take in water, sunlight, nutrients, and space, right? So actually all this was meant for the main crop that you're growing now. All if you keep your cameras on in the class, I should not have to repeat this every time in the class now. You guys are grown up kids. You should know the basic things. So these things were meant for the main crop. So they are harmful, so we need to remove them. So the process of removing the weeds or the unwanted plants from a crop field, that is called as weeding. So next topic is weeding. So what is weeding? It's nothing but the process of removing the unwanted plants, that is weeds, from the crop field. Okay, no? Also, the previous topic, that was impact of weed on the main crop, as it is taking water, sunlight, nutrient, and space. So thereby it is going to impact crop yield, no? Impact crop yield. Basically, the crop yield is going to decrease. So that is how it impacts the main crop. Okay. Any question so far? Now the question is that what is the best time to remove them? What is the best time to remove them? When should it be removed? So we should remove the weeds before they produce flower and the seeds, because once they have produced flowers and seeds, so it will be very difficult to control their growth. They will spread very quickly. All right, no? So they should be removed before flowering, before flowering and seeds. That is the best time to remove them. Now it can be done by hand also. Okay, now like it can be done with the help of hand by using tool called as trowel, a tool called as trowel, like this. Wait a minute. Okay, tool called as trowel. That can be used to remove it manually. Okay. Also, we can use like weeds can be destroyed by the use of weedicides also. Here, chemical substances called as weedicides are being sprayed in the field. They are spraying weedicides. So weedicides are basically the chemical substances that kills the weeds. They eradicates the weed. Okay, no? So removal can be done by the help of the hand also. Removal can be done with the help of a trowel, called as like in local name is basically khurpa. Okay, we call this as khurpa or khurpi as well. So that is the method here. Okay. Any questions so far?
Sir, how do weeds even grow? Like,
How do they grow? Obviously, like as we have learned about in the seventh grade, you would have learned about vegetative propagation, right? For
yes, sir.
example, if you talk about the grasses, so how do the grasses grow? Even if you were to cut them from the ground, they will grow, right? Now, why? Because grasses have structures on them called as stolons. Suppose if you take a look at the grass, for example. So actually, grasses have got structures in them which we call as stolons, stolons, that grows horizontally. Stolons are basically runners. Okay, so even if you were to cut this grass, no, even let's suppose that if you were to cut this grass from here, so the stolons are still present in the ground. So from these stolons, new grasses will emerge. So why this they will grow? Some of the weeds grows via the seed also. Getting it? Like either it will be brought to the land by the animals, by the wind. So many weeds reproduces and spreads through the seeds also. Getting at what I'm trying to say? Okay, now.
Yes, sir.
Sure. I was saying like what are some of the examples of weedicides, the chemical substances that are sprayed to control the growth of these plants. So some of the common weedicides are as follows: 2,4-D. That is the name of a weedicide. Okay, now. Then MCPA. It is also a name of weedicide. Then you have butachelor as well. What are all these? These are examples of weedicides. How are they used? A solution of these weedicides are made and then they are sprayed onto the crops. Okay, na? And when are they grown? When are they spread on the crops? So they are sprayed before flowering and seed formation takes place in the wheat. When are they spread on the field? They are spread when like it is spread before flowering and seed formation in the weeds. Now, since weedicides are poisonous chemicals now, so therefore spraying of the weedicides may affect the health of the person who is handling the weedicide sprayer. Okay, now, so the person must cover his nose, his mouth, and his body properly with the piece of cloth or like this dress that the person is wearing over here. Understood it, everything about it. Now, there's one more thing to be considered, that the weedicides only kills the weeds. It does not harms the main crop. So it does not have any effect on the main crop that is being grown here. Hope you guys have understood it this much. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Also, for those of you who are wondering, like, why I'm not giving time to write down notes, I'll be providing the screenshots of the notes after the class. Okay.
Okay,
Next, talking about harvesting. Now, as we know, like normally it takes about 3 to 4 months for a food crop to mature, right? Then we see that lush green fields, like paddy field, will turn to golden yellow. initially they are lush green, but then they turn golden yellow color at the end of the period, right now. So this change in color from green to golden is due to the maturity of the crop or ripening of the crop. So once the crop has matured, then it is time, then it is ready for cutting and harvesting, for cutting and gathering, I mean to say. So the cutting and gathering of the matured crop is called as harvesting. Cutting plus gathering of these mature crop is what harvesting is basically. Okay, hope it is clear. Further, how it can be done? So either it can be done manually by hand, as you can see here, right? If it's a small plot of land, so manually they'll be using a tool called a sickle like this. A tool called as sickle is used by them to cut the crops. So they will cut it close to the base of the plant, right now. So wheat or rice, they are cut close to the ground by using this tool called a sickle, as this lady is using here. Okay. But in large fields, so like in this large field, the cutting of the wheat or the paddy crops, they are done by the motorized machine. It is done by the motorized machine called as harvester, as you guys can see here. So understood it now. Like it can be done manually by the help of sickle on a small plot of land, or in a large field, it is done by a motorized machine called as harvester. Okay, Fatima, getting it, everyone? Okay. Now, once the crop have been harvested, right after harvesting, the next step is threshing. Okay, now the next step is threshing, as you guys can see here. So what is being done in the threshing, that we are basically beating out the grain from the harvested crop plant. They are beating the grain on this metallic cylinder or on a piece of stone or on the land, getting it. So this is basically done to take out the grain from its outer covering called a shaft. The grain is stored on its outer covering called a shaft, as you guys can see here. They are being beaten. Okay, so they are spread on the ground in a small area, and various animals can be used. Like even traditionally, what was being done, animals were made to walk over it, right? Animals like bullocks, buffaloes, camels, they will be made to walk over it again and again in a circle. So the cattle's feet will be crushing the harvested crop, due to which the shafts break. Shaft here basically means the seed coat. What does shaft mean? It's basically the seed coat. So shaft breaks up and the grain will be coming out. So during threshing, the leaves and stems of the crop plants, what happens to them? They are also converted into small pieces. During threshing, the method of threshing, the leaves and the small stems of the crop plants, they are converted into very small pieces. That is called as hay. Getting it, guys? And that hay can be used as fodder for the animals. If you have been to village, so you would have seen what the cows and the buffaloes would be eating particularly. You might have seen them eating the seed coat, basically chaff and the small pieces of stems and leaves. Yes, anyone been to villages and like you guys have seen the cow shelters particularly?
Yes, sir.
Hmm? So that can be feeded to them also. It can be used as a fodder. Okay. Now, if suppose there's a large farm, so in a very large farm, for this purpose of threshing, a motorized machine called as thresher can be used. A machine called as thresher can be used for that purpose. Getting it? So that is a thresher over here. So that can also be used. Although the process of harvesting is bringing out the grain from the chaff, the process of threshing is bringing out the grain from the cut and dried crop plants, but this grain is mixed with the chaff. No? Like the grain gets mixed with the chaff. Like this is the grain, suppose, of wheat, and this is the chaff, like basically seed coat. That is the grain, and that is the chaff. So in the process of threshing, both of them are actually mixed. So we need to separate them now. So that is done by the method of winnowing. So winnowing is basically the process of separating the grain from chaff and hay with the help of wind. As here you can see, basically this lady is holding the chaff and the hay, basically all the mixture in this thing. And from one side, wind is blowing, and she is basically like she has this, she is basically allowing it to fall down. So chaff and the hay being lighter, they will be carried away to some distance by the wind. And the grains being heavier will fall right below. So over here you can see basically what is being accumulated. It's the chaff, that is the seed coat, and it's the hay that gets accumulated over here. And right beneath her, this is the grain that gets accumulated. So that is the method of winnowing. It's basically the process of separating the grain from the chaff and the hay. Any question from this? And this grain that has been collected, like it can be put into the gunny bags. It can be packed into the gunny bags, basically that jute bag. Okay. Now these days, machines called as combines are used. The machine that you're seeing here in these images, these are the combines. These are combines, also called as combine harvesters. Sometimes we also call them as combine harvesters. So we are seeing that once the crop is mature, so you need to uh, basically harvest it, cut it, cut it from the field. Then you need to do threshing. Then you need to do winnowing. So there are multiple steps which you have to do. But with the help of this combine, which is a huge machine, it will cut the standing crop also. It will do threshing also, and it will separate the chaff from the grain also. All of that in under one operation. Getting it what I'm trying to say? Cutting, threshing, and winnowing. All three things are done by this combine in one step. Here you guys can see here. This is the main combine machine here, which is doing all the process. And in this tractor, basically the grains are falling in this. Getting it? So isn't it better than all the other three methods? Just make use of the combine, particularly on a large plot of land. Pawan, was Farhan, and Fatima. Getting it so far now?
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone who is not getting the
Yes, sir.
basic things? Getting? Good. So that is the thing. Okay. Now we are seeing that now you will observe one thing here, like here, particularly in India, what happens? There is some environmental concern also related to the harvesting of the crop. Why am I saying that? What the farmers would be doing many of the times, this much portion, as you guys can see here, like this much of portion of the crop is still left in the field, right? These are called as stubs of the crop plants. We call them as stub, S-T-U-B. Stubs, basically a small portion of the standing crop that is still left in the field after harvesting. So sometimes they are burnt by the farmer. Okay, now, and this burning of the stub is harmful because it will cause air pollution, right? Also, the burning of the stubs may cause accidental fire to the harvested crop that is lying in the field and damage that also. Getting it? If suppose that in that field, some of the farmers have kept the harvested crops. So due to the wind, what can happen? The farmers are burning the stubs, okay, no? And it can cause accidental fire to the harvested crop also that is lying in the field and damage it. So that is the environmental concern related with it. Okay. Also, we see that here in India, so many harvest festivals are also there right now. When the crops mature and become ready to be harvested, then we see that the field turns golden yellow in color. Huh? And the sight of the golden fields of the standing crops that is laden with the grains, it fills the heart of the farmers with joy. So thereby, the period of harvest is of great joy and happiness in all the parts of India, particularly. Men and women would be celebrating they would be celebrating the harvest season in the form of festivals. So some of the harvest festivals, you might have heard about Pongal, right? Pongal or Baisakhi, even Holi, Bihu. Yeah,
Bihu.
Bihu, exactly, Bihu, right? So all these are examples of the harvest festivals in India. Okay.
Onam as well.
Onam also, exactly, very good. Onam is also there. Pongal, Baisakhi, also Lohri is also there. Good. So these are the different festivals. I think like Makar Sankranti, Makar Sankranti is also there, right?
I think
Makar Sankranti. So these are associated with the harvest. Although there are some other religious significance also associated. Okay. Like Onam, in which state is it celebrated? I think in Kerala, right? Okay, no? Onam is celebrated in Kerala. Lohri, like in parts of Punjab and Haryana. There it is particularly famous. Getting it. Pongal is celebrated where? Anyone? Where is
So
Pongal celebrated? Exactly. Tamil
Tamil Nadu.
Nadu. Very good. Tamil Nadu. Okay, Holi, like all over India, it is celebrated. Okay. So that is the thing. So after harvesting, now it is time to gather the crops. Need to now store the food grains, right? So the fresh food grains like wheat or rice that is obtained by the harvesting of crops contains more amount of moisture than required for their safe storage. Like if you ever go to market, okay, so and if we have to purchase the food grains, so we must ensure that there is not any moisture present in the seed grains. Okay, now suppose if you have to purchase them in bulk and store it, and you have to use it for a period of 3 to 6 months, so you'll be purchasing it in bulk. So you must ensure that it does not contain too much of moisture in it. So because it will lead to, basically it will get spoiled because of the presence of moisture in it. So the food grains that are obtained after harvesting the crops, they are first dried in the sunshine before storing it. They are first dried in the sunshine before storing it. So drying in the sunshine, it reduces the amount of moisture present in the grains. Getting it, guys? No. So that is the thing, because if there is higher moisture content in the food grains, it will promote the growth of fungus. It will lead to growth of fungus like mold. Huh? Getting it? So thereby it will damage them. It will make them lose their germination capacity. So first farmer need to dry them. Getting it, everyone? Now, so first the seed grains are sun dried. So this lowers moisture content in them. This lowers the moisture content in them. Otherwise, it will invite the fungal infection. It will lead to growth of fungus and mold on it. Okay. Also, after sun drying, traditionally what was done by the farmers, even now it is done, they would be using dry neem leaves. So dried neem leaves are used for storing the food grains at home. Particularly, suppose if there is this cylindrical container in which food grains have to be stored, so you can take some leaves from the neem plant, okay, neem tree, and you can dry it and you can put it as the bedding material in the container. You can put some dried neem leaves and then you can store the grain. And on the top also you can put some dried neem leaves. Yes. Hmm. Also, some chemical tablets are also available nowadays in the market that is put into the container that prevents the growth of fungus, prevents the growth of uh, other forms of microorganisms that can spoil it. Also, it prevents the growth of insects. Getting it now, Pavan and everyone? Okay. So that is the thing. Now, the government agencies, there are different government agencies also here in India that is particularly associated with the work of storing the food grains. So government agencies like, I need an empty slide. Give me a minute. So government agencies like FCI. Is there someone who's saying anything in the class? Like someone's mic is on. Go and mute yourself for a while. Okay. So I was saying that there are some government agencies in India, like Food Corporation of India. Food Corporation of India. So Food Corporation of India, what they do, they would be buying the grain from the farmers. They get the grains from the farmers, they purchase it from them. Okay. Then what they will do? They are going to store it in big godowns. They will be purchasing grains from the farmers on the bulk on a large quantity, and they store them in big godowns like this, as you can see here. In the big godowns, they are stored. And from these big godowns, they can be now supplied throughout the country. Okay, now they can store them in big godowns like this. Okay, now, and they can store them in these structures also. Okay, now these are called as grain silos. So there also they can store large quantity of the food grains that they are purchasing from the farmers, right? Further, the large scale storage of the food grains will be done in particularly two ways, which we are going to learn about. First, it can be done via the use of the gunny bags. These are the gunny bags. Gunny bags are made up of jute basically, right? Now they are made up of jute, and it's the most common method of storing the food grains on a large scale. So we basically fill them in the gunny bags. Their mouth is stitched packed tightly, right? And they are kept one over another in the big godowns. Now, pesticide solutions are sprayed on these stacked gunny bags. From time to time, we keep on spraying pesticide solution on it. Pesticide solution, you understand? Like pesticide basically keeps the pest away, right? Pests are basically the unwanted insects. Pests are basically unwanted insects that can eat the grain. So pesticides are spread from time to time to prevent their growth, to prevent the damage done to the food grain by the pest. Then what about the population of like the rats? There's a threat of rat also in the godowns particularly. So the population of the rat in the godown is controlled by killing them with rat poison from time to time. So rat poison will be used to kill them from time to time. Although this gunny bag, it's not the ideal container for food grains. It's not the good thing. It's not the best option we have, that we should store them in the gunny bags. But there is some advantage of it. The greatest advantage is that food grains filled in the gunny bags can be easily transported and distributed at various places. Okay, now? So that is all about this. Other than that, we have got these giant structures. In addition to the gunny bag method of storing food grains, the grain silos are used for storing food grains on large scale, on bulk storage, right? They're specially designed. They're specially designed. They are big and tall cylindrical structures. They have inbuilt arrangements for the protection of food grains from insects, from microorganisms. The temperature inside these giant cylindrical structures are maintained. Huh? They are disinfected first of all. The temperature is maintained. The moisture is maintained in this. So that is the thing. Okay, no. Uh, Fatima, read the given paragraph.
Yes, sir.
Soils are tall, cylindrical structures used in agriculture to store bulk materials like grains such as wheat, maize, and rice, or fermented feed known as silage. They protect the stored materials and from pests, moisture, and spoilage, ensuring that crops remain fresh and safe for consumption or sale.
Getting it? So that is the thing here. Okay. So obviously this one is more advantageous than using the gunny bags. But all over India, particularly, the gunny bags are particularly being used to store them in the godowns. Got it, everyone? So here we have basically completed the chapter. Now there are a few small topics that we are going to quickly discuss. First of all, we are going to learn about the Green Revolution. What was its aim? Who were the important persons associated with it? Okay. So Green Revolution, like its main aim was to significantly increase the food production, particularly increase the food production of wheat and rice. Because in the time period of like 1960s to 70s, 1960s to 1970s, there was a food shortage. There was a food shortage, particularly in the Asiatic countries. There was food shortage in the Asiatic countries. Which are the Asiatic countries? Yeah, when we say Asiatic countries, like we're talking about Asia now. So which countries are there in Asia? Particularly India, China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, right? Mongolia, isn't it? Japan, particularly like not Japan, but Nepal, particularly. So these are the Asiatic countries now. So in the like during 1960s or 70s, there was food shortage in the Asiatic countries. So in order to fulfill the food requirement, Green Revolution was started in that time period because there was limited agricultural infrastructure in these countries, particularly. Okay. Also, there was rapid population growth. Many Asian countries it experienced rapid population growth during the time period of 1960 to 70s. So it will put pressure on the food supply, like there was limited food supply and the population was increasing. Also, there was no proper infrastructure available for irrigating the crop field. There was very less storage facilities. The transportation network was also inadequate. It was not proper. So there was no infrastructure, no technology for efficient food production, for higher food production. Also, there was no proper um, infrastructure or transport network available for the proper distribution of the food. So thereby, it was need, first of all, to increase, to make the food production efficient, to increase the crop yield, and build storage, and to basically build go downs to build more storage facilities. Getting it now? So that was particularly Green Revolution. It was a movement brought that's aim was to increase the food production. It was a period of significant advancement in the sector of agriculture that led to increase in the food production, particularly in the Asiatic countries. And how was this done? So it was done by the use of HYV seeds. The high yielding variety seeds were used along with this, along with the high yielding variety seeds. The use of fertilizer was also important. Then use of weedicides and pesticides were also promoted. So all of this, along with improved irrigation methods, led to increase in the food production. Getting it, everyone, so far? Its aim was to increase the food production in Asiatic countries, and the important things that were done, like how we achieved the objective, it was by the help of the HYV seeds, by the use of the fertilizers, weedicides, pesticides, via improved irrigation facilities. So that is how Green Revolution was carried. Now, the person, like there was this person called as Norman Borlaug. He has been called as the father of Green Revolution. Norman Borlaug. Okay, he has been called as the father of Green Revolution, particularly. So he had so much of contribution. Particularly, he was the person who helped in the development of the high yielding variety seeds. Okay, he also introduced improved farming methods. Okay, later on, he went on to win Nobel Prize. Also, he went on to win Nobel Peace Prize for his work. Also, Nobel Peace Prize for the work which we hated, right? Particularly, like his work was related to alleviate the world from the hunger issue. Then we have this person, MS Swaminathan. Huh? So the father of Indian Green Revolution, he was MS Swaminathan. and he worked together with Norman Borlaug. Okay, na? He has been called as the father of green evolution in India, and he played an important role in developing the high yield variety of these high yielding varieties seeds of particularly wheat and rice. Got it, everyone? Any question from this topic, green evolution?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So we are getting. So we discussed about the major things. So further, although we are seeing that most of our food demand is met from the crops, but animals also provides us food, obviously, right? So, like the food provided by animal consists of milk, egg, meat, etc. And the food obtained from animal is very rich in protein. In fact, animal food provides a certain type of protein which are absent in the plant food. Okay, no, certain type of proteins are found only in the animal food. It cannot be obtained via the plant food. So most of the food obtained from animals contains good amount of fat also, but it contains very little amount of carbohydrate. Getting it, guys? So animal food, however, is containing, however, animal food contains certain type of protein, contains good amount of fat also, but they contain some amount of mineral and vitamins also. Okay, no? They contain minerals and vitamins. Further, the food obtained from animals is more expensive than that from the plant sources also. So the animal which provides us food are basically of two types. One is the milk yielding animals or the milch animals. We call them as the milch animals. The milk yielding animals are basically the milch animals. Milch animals. Another is basically the egg and the meat yielding animals. Meat and egg yielding animals are there. Okay, egg yielding animals are there. So examples of milk yielding animals, obviously cow, buffalo, goat, etc. Huh? Camels as well. And milk is the perfect natural diet that one can have. Further, like we obtain various products from the milk also, like butter, ghee, curd, cheese, etc. And all of them are highly nutritious food. Okay. As for the meat and the egg yielding animals, so in that case, like the goat, sheep, fish, for the meat particularly. As for the egg, like we have the chicken, hen, duck, etc. So poultry gives us meat as well as eggs particularly. Like the chicken, hen, and the duck, they get us gives us meat as well as eggs particularly. Apart from that, there is one more type of food which we get from the animal, that is basically honey, which is highly nutritious. It contains good amount of antioxidants in it. So honey is the another nutritious food that we obtain from animal, particularly from the honeybees. Hope that much is clear. One more thing I would like to discuss with you, that is about the fish particularly. Like why why fish is such an important source, why is such a important food that one should consume. So many people that are living in the coastal areas, like the seaside areas, so they consume fish as a major part of their diet. Fish is particularly rich in protein. Okay, it contains very less amount of fat in its body, right? Although if you talk about what is fish particularly, like in what kind of why what is its, if you talk about like what kind of nutrient do we get from the fishes. So particularly the fish liver oil, it is a very good source of vitamin A. Okay, no, it is a very good source of vitamin A and vitamin D. Vitamin A and vitamin D. Further, the cod fish liver oil, the cod fish liver oil, it is rich in vitamin A and D also. Getting it? It is also rich in vitamin A and D. So this is just one example of a fish. The fish liver oil that we obtain from the cod, that is a rich source of vitamin A and D. Then there is one more thing. You might have heard about the omega acids, right? Omega. So omega 3 fatty acids particularly, they are very good for the body. Okay, na? And they are particularly found in the fish. So omega fatty acids are also found in the fish, particularly the omega-3 fatty acids. They are particularly found in the fish only. Okay, now particularly which kind of fishes? Like there are some fatty fishes also. So in the fatty fishes, the omega-3 fats are particularly found. They contain various things in them that have various health benefits. Okay, now like our body cannot produce certain things on its own now. We need to get it from outside sources. So that was it. So here we have completed the chapter. Now we will do some questions. Okay. So the first question, dash and dash are the examples of rabi crops. Guess what's the answer? Yes, anyone? Give at least two examples of rabi crops.
There is gram.
Gram
Gram and
and pea.
pea. Okay. Pea is also good. What about others? Why you guys are having a difficult time in recalling such a basic thing? Gram was there, peas, wheat, mustard, linseed. Okay. Next question. The plowed field may have big pieces of soil called. Remember, even after plowing, there can be big pieces of soil left in the field. What we call that? Repeat again.
Chunks.
Crumbs, exactly. Called soil crumbs. So that needs to be broken down with the help of a scraper or a leveler. No? Good. Next. Remember the structure of the wooden plow? It had a handle, right? It had a long beam of wood. It had a pointy iron structure that penetrates, that goes into the soil. Seems like you guys haven't been memorizing the notes, haven't been revisiting it. Okay, I will give you guys two options. Okay, now for this one, is it going to be plowshare or is it plow shaft?
Plowshare.
Plowshare. Read the question again.
Plowshare.
The main part of the plow is a long log of wood. This log of wood, where we had this handle. That is plowshare. Okay. Getting it. I'm trying to draw the diagram. Like this is what the this is what the plowshare is. Okay, now this one is the plowshare, and plow shaft is this long log of the wooden structure over here. So that is plow shaft. Next,
Sir, a combine.
it's plowing, not about harvesting. Plowing. Yes, Fatima, Farhan, what about you guys? Plowing can be done by either wooden plow or by the help of, it starts with C. I will give this much of hint. Isn't it cultivator? Look at this image again. I think you guys have not been memorizing, neither revising the notes. Look at this. Now we learned about the agricultural implements and different types of agricultural implements we have learned about. This was called as plow shaft. This is called as plowshare. Plowshare. This was the handle. We learned about the wooden plow. We learned about the hoe also. And this is the cultivator. Now that is now it is used. It is attached to back of the tractor and it is driven by the tractor, isn't it? Okay, next question. Farhan, you answer the fifth question. You answer it. Sixth question, was you will be answering. Seventh question, Fatima, you will be answering. And eighth question, Pavan, you will be answering.
Sir, fifth one, distance and depth.
Distance and depth, good. Correct. Next.
Sir, manure.
Manure, good. Next, Fatima.
Fertilizers.
Fertilizers, very good. Next. Like moments ago, we have learned about some examples of VT sites, no? Okay, see. That is 2,4-D, right? That was one of the example. Butachelor
Yes,
was
sir.
also one of the example. Butachelor. So at least memorize 2 or 3 examples of the VD sites. So either you can memorize this butachelor or this 2,4-D. This one is very easy to memorize. Okay. There's one more MCPA. So all these are VD sites. Okay. Ninth question.
Sir, godowns and
Silos.
Silos. Very good. Godowns and silos are storage of grains in large scale. Very good. Last question. 10th one. This one, like, we might not have discussed, but you can answer. Animal husbandry.